Do you want to learn how to get healthy, perform at your best, and create body composition changes that last? In this podcast, we're going to talk about all things fitness, nutrition, health, and mindset. You're going to learn how to create real results, and most importantly, how to maintain those results in the long run. I'm Johan Vesters.
I'm Kristine and Johan.
And you're listening to Talking Nutrition. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Talking Nutrition, episode 20 already. Can you believe it's episode 20?
I know, we're crushing it.
It's going fast. Welcome back to the number one podcast. How often do you hear that? Like, I swear, I listen to like multiple podcasts, and they're all like,
I know.
You just found the number one, you know?
Yeah, it's like,
So
oh, did I? Wow.
Yeah. So welcome back to the actual number one. Jesus. I don't think we would even we wouldn't even say that if we were, you know, like,
no.
Anyway, we don't take ourselves serious enough.
I think that's subjective, you know, like number one to like is going to be different compared to like different people. I checked it once though. I was curious, like, is that actually true? So I looked up like charts or something, but nope. I can't even find where we're at. Like, if we are even on one. Welcome to the number 2 podcast.
The number 2. Well, if you're still here, 1 minute in, welcome to however many or whatever spot we are at in the charts.
Yeah.
Today's another Q&A episode. We haven't done one in a minute, and the questions are piling up, so we got to catch up. So first of all, thank you to everyone who has replied to messages on Instagram or submitted a question. It really helps us to kind of like talk about the stuff that you want to learn more about. You know, it's really cool to see like which topics, honestly, that come back pretty often, but also that, you know, that are stuff that we have not covered. So that's really cool to see. So as always, you can help us out by leaving a 5-star rating and or review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to us. And you can follow us on Instagram. Also, we are also on YouTube, by the way, so you can subscribe there as well if you want to see us. We have video on there too. Are
a lot of people watching us?
Some, yeah.
Okay.
Every now and then. I actually talked to a few people, well, two to be honest, who said I really like actually like watching you guys talk. Like, I can't stand just like listening to it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, you can see body language, and that helps. You can see also, me constantly talking with my hands.
I like the video option on Spotify, which we don't have, and I don't know, we might in the future, but we would have to change the whole platform and stuff. Like, I think YouTube is nice for that. Also, by the way, since we're doing a Q&A episode right now, what I've done as well is actually save these separate questions as separate videos too. So you can go to our channel, go to Q&A, and just go down the list of questions, see if there's something that you're curious about, if you want to learn, like check that out too. And that will then also link you to the full episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Want to check out any. I didn't realize
you were doing that.
Actually didn't tell you yet. So here you go. It's all for SEO, you know?
Yeah.
No, but I think it could be useful, you know, just so you don't have to listen to the whole thing, just one question, boom, it's like 2 minutes, whatever. Well, if we can actually stick to 2 minutes.
Yeah, doubtful.
Because we usually don't. But okay, hey, if you want to submit a question, you can message us directly on Instagram, Talking Nutrition Podcast, or you can go to Kristine's bio and fill in the form there. I actually took mine away because I figured like, hey, we already have the Instagram and then yours, like giving people another place to go to, it's just overwhelming and confusing.
Right.
So go to Kristine's bio or just message us directly on Instagram to submit your question for future episodes. But Kristine, what have you been up to, first of all, before we get into the questions? Have any news?
Well, I took a week off and completely out of the gym last week. Honestly, it was unplanned. But I just Monday, you know, I kind of woke up, but I mentally wasn't in it and wasn't feeling it. And I was like, okay, like let's see what Tuesday brings. And then I just knew. I was like, I just need a break. I haven't had one in a while. And this is something that I learned. I mentioned this on my story. Like when I was competing and like going through a lot of my injuries, this was one thing I learned, was that like it doesn't always need to be like a physical thing to take a break from the gym or take a deload. It can be mental, and taking deloads and taking time out of the gym can be really beneficial for both. And so I was like, I'm just going to take this week off, not even going to go into the gym, just walk for the week. And I did that and I felt way better. Got back into the gym Monday, gonna work out again today. And it felt really good. So that was one thing. I put up Christmas decorations and I posted it. So everyone should go watch that. At the ending of it, it's actually really funny. Rose like jumps on the chair and like it spins, and it's just such a good ending of the video. And then we're taking Rose hunting soon, so I'm really excited for that. Other than
Is it the first time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my first time bird hunting, and it will be her first time as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see her in action, because I'm not joking, like every single time we go outside to take her poop, she's hunting the whole time. It's like a freaking debacle trying to get her to go poop because she won't stop hunting. I'm like, gosh. But that's what we get for buying a hunting dog.
Yeah, you ask for it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it over here.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually got to do a hunting course.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A couple of weeks. What is it now? I don't
Bird
even know
hunting,
what date
right?
it is. Yeah, so it's okay. So it's going to be in 2 weeks. We'll start. This episode will probably be up already. It's going to be a full week. Like I'll be working and then going straight there, and then it's every day of the week.
Oh, okay.
For like a full week, for like 5+ hours, I think, and then there's like a full Saturday shooting. We're gonna do shotgun and rifle shooting. So I'm stoked.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be in Norwegian though, so I'm gonna have to like really like pay attention, you know.
Oh, okay.
I understand Norwegian pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't speak it yet. I mean, very basic if I start trying, you know.
Okay.
But I also
Can you speak a couple words right now?
I wouldn't know what to say. What do you want to know?
Say, how's your day going? Can you say that?
How is your day going? Shit. I know, like, putting me on the spot here. I know how how are you doing? Like, it's hvordan går det? That's how are you? Yeah.
Okay.
Hvordan går det? And then how is your day going? Hvordan går dagen din? I think. I gotta practice that shit.
Yeah,
honestly,
I was just gonna say, you need some practice.
I definitely do. Like with the understanding, like reading and stuff, and like understanding Norwegian is actually going pretty good.
Okay.
But speaking, like, it's literally just the fact that I haven't tried yet. You know,
right?
It's like that scary next step. You know, but we're getting there. But
good.
I do have like a limit, so I can go through the day. I can hear like a certain amount, and then when I get tired and it's the end of the day, like sometimes it's just like, that's it for today. And then I have really hard times. I really have to like pay attention. But yeah, I'm excited. And so that's that. So that's it for the hunting course that I'm going to be doing soon. Oh, by the way, and this might actually even happen right now. So within the last half hour or something, like 40 minutes maybe, the power went off completely in our whole street, like every house, like all the street lights, like complete blackout. So just so you guys know, on YouTube,
it might just go dark.
Yeah, like it might actually happen.
It was
but
like in the dark.
My laptop is on, or actually it's not on my phone right now. Last minute I can switch to my hotspot and then we can still run off my battery of my laptop, so we should be good. But just so you know,
okay,
that happened twice already in the last hour or so. So that was interesting. And quickly, I got a really cool check-in this week, and then we can actually get into the episode because we're almost 10 minutes in.
Oh,
and we haven't even answered a question. People are probably going to be hating us for this, but
probably.
But I had a really cool question or check-in, where I had asked this client, like, hey, like, can you take some new progress photos? You know, like, I know, like, it's sometimes a little weird or uncomfortable, but let's do them anyway. You know, I told her why, plus the fact that we actually didn't have the measurements recently. We've been working together since July. I was like, hey, you know, like, we have a photo or a series of photos from like July, I believe it was, or August, and that was it. I mean, it's now November. And she actually mentioned last week, like, hey, you know, I don't really feel like all of the hard work that I'm putting in right now is really like paying off. Like, I'm seeing some changes here and there, but the weight is like down not that much though. Even measurements, like the ones that we did have, like, were changing, but also not like crazy, you know. And she's really been putting in a lot of work, and we spent like extra time working through stuff before she even went to the deficit, right? We first really dialed in her protein, which was a difficult thing for her. We talked about, like, you know, snacking, because she had a hard time like not eating candy, for example, or at least controlling it. So we spent a lot of time working through that. And then when she actually got to go into the deficit, she was like, you know, I'm doing well, I'm sticking to everything, but I don't really feel like it's actually paying off, you know. This week we had photos, and guess what? She was just completely like so happy about the fact that she actually took the photos and the difference that she saw. And it's a big difference. Like, she made a lot of good progress. So that just shows, like, hey, like, you don't realize, if you look at yourself in the mirror every single day, you're not going to realize, and you might even lose a whole bunch of body fat and make a lot of progress without actually seeing it all yourself, you know.
100%.
And that's where, you know, if to the listener, like, if you work with a coach, like, I know that those photos can be a little weird sometimes, especially in the beginning, but like, us coaches, like, we see that stuff every week. It's not weird. And we're asking for that stuff for a reason, you know, because it's so important. We cannot just go off body weight. So I wanted to mention that one more time, because that literally took her from not really feeling like stuff was working to now being like super motivated and super excited.
That's great. You know? That's awesome. Yeah. Glad you shared that.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the actual questions, Kristine. We're talking too much again.
I know. Okay, let's go. So first question is from Living Life with Jess, who I am very close friends with. I was like, wow, Jess asked a question when I saw that. So she asked, this might not be something you actually talk about, but I was wondering if you guys could talk about how to fuel your body when a woman is on her period. Okay, so it doesn't look much different when a female is on their period. The same concepts still kind of go. Well, they do. And that is making sure you're getting in enough protein, you know, getting in your fruits and vegetables, hydration, all of those basics that we talk about constantly, you know, on here are all go into when you're on your period. Same type of thing. In terms of how much, the week, like in the luteal phase, which is like the couple weeks leading up to your cycle, or like late luteal phase, we do see an increase in metabolism, metabolic rate. So you can have more calories during that time, but I just don't want people to like run with that, right? So it's not like an abundance. It's not like a lot more. I would say like 200, 300, you know, more calories. And you still want to have most of that coming from like real whole sources of food, right? Like, yes, if you're more hungry and like you have more cravings, and totally like you could have the chocolate and you can have that stuff. I don't want people to like restrict themselves during that time, because that can end up, backfire in terms of overeating. But it's definitely okay to have few hundred extra calories if you feel like you need it during that time. There is some like research out there that we are a little bit more like sensitive to insulin around that time. But personally, like I don't change a whole lot with clients with their menstrual cycle. It's really just, if they're hungrier, I will give them more calories to work with, but we are still focusing on the same concepts that we normally do. And that's, like I said, getting in the protein, getting in your fiber, eating real whole sources of food. And that's it. And eating enough. Like that's important, in terms of if we're not eating enough or like we're chronically dieting, we can see PMS symptoms getting worse, right? We can see, a way more increase in hunger there. So eating enough too is, important. But honestly, nothing really changes.
That's exactly how I go about it too with my clients. Like, I wrote an article about this and I looked into it, and sure, there's some changes here and there, and there are some tactics we could apply. But the reality is, like, it doesn't matter as much as you would think. It could also be making it more confusing for people.
I said that wrong in terms of the insulin, didn't I? It's your insulin sensitivity can decrease during that luteal phase. I said it the wrong way. It decreases. So you're like in terms of carbohydrates, but I still I would not tell a female to lower carbohydrate intake around their cycle. I would never do that.
No, it's not even. I mean, carbs are also very important for ovulation. Like, you want to keep them in, and altogether, I think, especially with like the insulin sensitivity stuff, it really only becomes a problem like if you're like very overweight, right? Like, if we already work for, towards weight loss and stuff, like, we don't also really have to worry about the carb fat ratio as much. Like, we do go into that, but personally, like, I don't put a lot of emphasis on like insulin sensitivity and etc. Because going back to like the principles and what we can do to apply, those to you stays the same. And everyone's going to respond different too. So that's exactly what I put in the article.
I think I talked about this before, where on some podcast, I swear I talked about this, where during your cycle or those weeks leading up, like if you're craving more, like say you track your macros and you're craving more carbohydrates, then have more carbohydrates and like lower fat a little bit. Right. And like, so if you can adhere to your macros better doing that, that's totally fine. Right. Yeah. But I have seen, a lot of women try and restrict and fight the hunger around your cycle. And it's very normal to have higher hunger because I talked about the metabolism. Also, B, progesterone is an appetite enhancer. So it's normal to have that increase in hunger. So instead of fighting it and like trying to restrict your calories, actually just give yourself permission to have a few hundred extra calories, right? So you're having like 300 more versus like 1,500, 2,000 that you could have if you ended up overeating or binging because you were trying to restrict so much. And really you're just having a normal physiological response, right? It's okay to nourish your body with more calories during that time if needed.
Totally. Cool. This should really be like a whole episode by itself. Mm-hmm. We'll get back to women's health in the future, I think. All right, next question from, let me try to pronounce this. So
his name's Andy. He's my client.
I thought it was your client, Andy. Okay, I'll just keep it short. Andy, what's up? So first, you two do an incredible job covering a wide variety of topics. I love what you all are doing. Tough question. First of all, thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Tough question. How do I get my family on board? I feel like I'm leading by example, working out, talking about my nutrition, and they, specifically my mom, who is unhealthy, is pretty dismissive. Incredibly frustrating. Tough question. Not a one-size-fits-all answer, but it felt pretty good typing it out. Appreciate you both and always teaching me through your podcast.
Oh, I just love Andy. He's the best.
I don't know him yet, but but I think I really like this because I think this is something a lot of people might be struggling with.
Yeah.
So it depends as always. First of all, I think you are doing the right thing by setting the example, which is really my number one recommendation for people anyway. You are already putting in the work, right? You're leading by, working out, you're talking about your nutrition, etc. Not everyone will always like see that or understand necessarily. But my question to you would be like, have you actually talked about it with them? And this is something I wasn't good at in the past, where I wouldn't necessarily like talk about stuff like why I'm doing it, for example. And then, for example, if friends would be like messing with me, like it would kind of like piss me off a little bit and also make me insecure. But then again, like they also don't really know. And all of a sudden, like you're changing things, So first of all, I would talk to them, and this goes for friends, goes for family members. Just say why you are doing it, right? And this is maybe less about like getting them on board, but maybe you could still influence them this way. Like, because I think if you explain to people, hey, this is what I'm doing. I want to lose weight. I want to improve my own health. That's really all the reasons you need to take action for your own health. And then most people that actually care about you, they will understand that and 100% respect that. This even ties into like the holiday stuff, Then again, there will still be people who don't want to see you win, who are more insecure about themselves, who might still be messing with you about this stuff, But that usually says something about them. And it's pretty often where people, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but what I do see a lot is where people get these comments and, it's like, oh, you're Mr. Healthy now, or, like, oh, I have a drink, or, whatever, have the pizza. It should be totally fine to say, hey, I'm doing this for my own health. I want to lose weight, etc. If people will still be giving you shit for that, it kind of says something about them. And it's almost more like a thing where they see you taking action and it makes them uncomfortable. And for that, they're like, shit, like I really should be doing this, but I'm not. So I'm going to take it out on you. But okay. Back to your actual question. So sorry. How do you get on your family on board? Tricky one. But first of all, being the example, talking about it, like I said, and trying to involve them with that stuff. But maybe like in like easy ways, like maybe not necessarily. I'm really just thinking out loud here because it's a tricky one and it really depends and we need some more context. But like, for example, if I all of a sudden would start tracking and eating more protein and doing this and working out and all that, maybe starting off by like including them in like one of those things, What do you think, Kristine? Do you have any input here?
I think what he's doing is the best thing that you can do, and always keeping in mind that they have to want to change. Yeah. And you cannot decide that for them. Right. And, I have people, my close family, like I'm dealing with similar situation. I mean, it's kind of a similar situation. But ultimately it has to be up to them. And all you can really do is be a good example and educate them, right? Educate them on like why this is so helpful or how it's improved your life and things like that. But there's no real, like, again, Andy, like you're already doing what I would tell somebody to do. And there's only so much you can do. Right? Right. It sucks to see a family member putting their health last when when it's really at the forefront of your life, right? It's hard to watch that, but it's also not your responsibility. It really isn't.
And maybe they just need to warm up to it too. Like maybe it just takes time.
100%. It will take time. Sometimes, unfortunately, like this is unfortunate, but sometimes like something bad has to happen in order for their eyes to be really opened. Yeah. Like health wise, that sucks, but it happens a lot. You know, no matter how much you try and educate them on the benefits of what this stuff does to you in terms of, you know, improving your health, sometimes they have to almost hit like a rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It is. It's a hard one. Especially really in like people have this issue with like their spouse and stuff. Yeah. But again, you can't change someone. Like they have to want to.
Yeah. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Like be the example.
Yeah, just continue.
Communicate, like talk with them and just share like how you feel about it and see what they have to say, you know, like maybe they actually want to share something that they haven't yet. Like talk about stuff.
Like I'm wondering if seeing if she would be receptive to doing like a small like challenge with you, like a little like walking challenge, right? Like I don't know if she has like a Fitbit, like maybe you could, I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea, but I was gonna say, no, but like, maybe you buy exactly her like a little something, a Fitbit for Christmas, and then because you can literally have like little challenges with people, and say, okay, like let's hit like 2,000 steps, right? Like even that, who knows what she's hitting, right? And then kind of go from there, but bring her in on something like that. But he said she's dismissive, so that can be hard.
Yeah. Again, like it depends. We would need to know a little bit more, but I think you are doing a lot already. So
yeah. All right. Next question. What's the most important lesson you've learned over your career? And this is from Phone Cubed. I would say, what was that? Oh, I think my headphones are dying. I would say at this point, in terms of like coaching, it would be that asking more questions and being less reactive to coming up with solutions for clients right away has been like a massive game changer for me as a coach, and like really getting to the bottom of things, like asking open-ended questions and having clients come up with a solution themselves has been huge. And so it's really just less reacting and thinking you need to have solutions for everything and just asking more questions.
You just read my mind.
Yeah. It's such a game changer.
Yeah. 100%.
I think at the beginning of your coaching career, you do want to have a solution and an answer for everything. And you absolutely do not need that.
And you don't.
No.
I think I would have said the exact word for word. That's exactly the biggest change this year for me. And that's happened over the course of the last 2 months.
Yeah.
2, 3. It's huge.
Huge.
It's, I literally became a different coach, since we started that course together. So, hey, keep learning. That's a big one too, maybe. It's always being open to getting better, knowing that you're not going to know everything right away. You cannot do everything right away. That it takes time, but you can always become better.
Yes.
If you keep learning.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And it's okay to say, I don't know.
Yes. I don't know, and it depends.
Yes. Yes.
Most important words you can know as a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly,
right,
I don't know that answer, but I'll look into it.
Yeah.
You can say that.
Yeah. We don't know everything, guys. We can help you figure it out, but we don't know everything.
Right.
Let's see our next one. There we go. So, from MCI 1988. Creatine for women. I've heard conflicting opinions on it being beneficial to men, but increasing the wrong hormones in women. Would be curious to hear a breakdown of it. So I actually DM'd this person and asked for the sources, but I didn't get an answer yet. She was going to look into it. So, hey, I will actually follow up with her. But a couple things here. Actually, I am currently writing an article about creatine, which will be out probably the week before this launches already. But I'm actually looking into stuff, and so creatine is the most researched supplement out there, by far. There's thousands of studies, a lot of data, a lot of people, a lot of different what's it called, types of people, men, women, people who exercise, obese, etc. There's so much research on it, and it is 100% safe.
It's literally the number one research supplement.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
And it's more and more they're literally doing so much research or looking into it, and it's kind of it's almost too good. So they're trying to figure out if there's something that might not be good about it.
Soon enough it's going to be banned.
but it's very beneficial. So a real quick recap, helping you build muscle, get a little bit more of your training. But now they're finding more and more cognitive and brain function benefits. And I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, which was a creatine deep dive by Barbell Shrugged. So you might want to check that one out too. They really dive into all the research basically. And they talk to a researcher who also says and he mentioned this because they were talking about the upper limit, if there is one, and he said there was actually a study, or maybe multiple studies, on perimenopausal women that were put on 9 grams, I believe, for 2 years straight, and there was no downsides. And that's 9 grams, so that's more than the general recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually seemed to be beneficial for bone health. So there's a lot of new stuff coming out, and they're still doing a lot of research. So we don't know yet, but the way it looks right now is that most people can take 3 to 5 grams, and we 1,000% fine with that. Personally, and I might be wrong here, but personally, I've never heard of creatine increasing the wrong hormones in women.
I haven't heard that either.
Let me think if there's any. No. I was trying to come up with something, but I can't imagine how that would be the case. I'm not saying that it's wrong, definitely not. And hey, let's be honest, there is a lot of misinformation out there too, a lot of conflicting data. But what we do know is that creatine does seem to be safe, long story short. And what I will also say is that if you have any questions about any supplement or, micronutrients or compounds, whatever, go to examine.com, type in creatine, and you'll literally get the most detailed breakdown you'll ever be able to find, in plain English, which is really cool. So it seems to be fine.
Oh yeah, it's great. Go ahead, take it. Okay, next one. Kelly with a Y. Love that. Okay, so she said, I know you've touched on it in bits and pieces in some of the other episodes, but who are the people or the resources you use when you want to find information? Good question. Okay, so Mass is a subscription base, so it's strong. It's Stronger by Science, but Mass is the subscription, and it is phenomenal. I have something in my hair. I'm always finding stuff in my hair. Sorry, my headphones died and I had to like figure something out. So I was talking about Mass. So what Mass is they do have like a nutrition side of things and training. I mean, they talk on like all things, but what they do is they basically break down studies and put it in a really easily digestible way. So you can read it or you can listen to them. And it's fantastic. And they'll send, emails to you and they'll break some down in the emails. And then you can go to the actual website and there's just so much information and very trustworthy. So that's one of my favorites. And then Alan Aragon, he is another fantastic one. He also has a subscription where he does kind of the same thing. Basically on a monthly basis, he breaks down, I don't know, it depends how many there is, like 8 or whatever. And he breaks down studies again. I think that Mass is way more easy, like you can read it way more easily in my opinion, but Alan is still like really, really good. And then Labdoor. Okay, actually, Jolene Brighton, in terms of like hormonal health, I really like her. And I know there's like a ton of people out there, but I really like her because I would say she does have a bias to more of like the alternative side of things, but she still isn't completely against, say, I guess you could say like Western side of things. So she has a lot of really good information. So I love her book, like Beyond the Pill. And then I do read a lot of her like blogs and stuff. And then Paloma Health is more so directed towards thyroid and like Hashimoto's and things like that. So really good resource for that. And then labdoor.com is a good resource for finding good supplement brands. And you'll see like they rank different supplements based on like purity and all these different things, and like they're third party testing these supplements. And so I'm not all supplements are on there, but I do often go check on different supplement brands on that website just to see, because it is very important. The brand is very important, so you know what you're getting, and it's not just a bunch of crap in there, because it's an unregulated industry. And then he already said it, but examine.com. So examine.com, same type of thing. Like you can put in supplements and it's going to give you a breakdown of like what it is, when to take it. And then it gives you at the bottom like a ton of different studies based on what they're saying it's good for and if it's actually legitimate for that specific thing. So like, for example, fish oil, they're going to go and test, they're going to go and, find a bunch of studies on like if it's good for inflammation and basically rank that. So I really like, those are like my top places. And then I just have people that I talk to, that I've just, you know, kind of met over the years in this industry that I ask questions to. And yeah.
I think the only one I would add there, if you want to look more into women's health, would be Lara Bryden.
Yeah, she's another good one.
Also has 2 really good books.
Yes.
What do they call it again? The Period Repair
Manual. And then she has one called Hormone Repair Manual, and that one's for like menopause.
Yeah. Those are very good. Mm-hmm. I will say they're not like books to like read for fun kind of thing. Like, it's a lot of information. So you really like, you want to kind of use it as like something to look up, you know?
There's definitely some stuff with like Lara Bryden that, like, I mean, both in terms of nutrition, that can be a little bit extreme. Like, you have to remember, like, you're not going to necessarily agree with everything that these people say, but they're very knowledgeable, and like there is a ton of information in there to help, but there's stuff I don't agree with at the same time.
Fair enough. Yeah. And that's really one thing to keep in mind as well. Like, pick your sources, kind of like really make sure that it's a good resource, you know, but also be open to, you know, the fact that people might have different views and stuff. And I think that is important to keep in mind.
Yep.
And I do like Lay Norton stuff as well.
Yeah, Lay Norton is legit.
I think he has a research review too. It's called Reps, I think.
Oh yeah, is that new? I think it's new.
Yeah, that's pretty new. Plus his YouTube videos are very good. So that could be like a quick, if you want like shorter stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Last question. Alleapaige. Consuming optimal amount of protein, along with how soon after a workout does protein need to be consumed. So I actually recently, not necessarily changed, but like slightly changed my protein recommendations from trying to get most people to 1 gram to 0.8 to 1 gram. I mean, that's basically already what I was saying. I used to say like 0.8 up to 1 or even 1.2. Right now, I kind of keep it like sometimes at that 0.8, and that's also totally cool.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of research on that. It is also totally fine to have more. However, I don't believe there's a lot of data that says like you have to hit that 1 gram per pound of body weight, like 0.8. I keep messing it up. 0.8 seems to be totally fine as well. I will say from experience with clients, 1, maybe even 1.2 in a diet might be very beneficial. If you really want to double down on like muscle gain, muscle maintenance, I would still go with higher amounts. But yeah, I'd say 0.8, totally fine.
Yeah, and to add to that, so she said consuming optimal amount of protein. So like the 0.8, again, we've talked on this before, but if you are not eating anywhere near that, right, you have to work up. You want to work up. And then from there, however much protein you're having, divide that between how many meals you're having, and it'll be easier to get in. So say you need like 20 per meal or 30 per meal.
Yeah, much easier. Yeah. And that could even be like just a general like recommendation. Like, hey, just if you're starting to dial things in, just start with 20 to 30, maybe even 40 for like dudes, grams of protein per meal. Just make that the goal, you know?
Yeah.
Which you also asked, so how soon after workout? So they used to think you know, based on research, they used to think that
anabolic
there was like
window.
This anabolic window, you know? I actually got a question about this 2 days ago in my check-ins, and I told him, like, long story short, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't fucking matter. You can eat 10 minutes after your workout, which personally, I wouldn't recommend, because you might want to calm down first, get back into more of a parasympathetic state, especially if you do something like CrossFit, but you can eat half an hour, 1 hour, even 2 hours after your training and be totally fine. And I believe even longer, it's totally cool. As long as you get it in, as long as you hit your daily amounts, preferably with somewhat of a structure, you're going to be fine. But don't worry about the anabolic window, because it's not worth your time and energy.
The only thing I would say is, like, if someone's fasted, like they're fasted and they're having them and then they're working out in the morning, I would probably consume something pretty close to their workout.
I was going to say, if we're training in the morning, unless it's like low intensity, like steady state cardio, I'll tell them, like, let's try to figure out how we can get a meal in before that, or at least not go into it fasted,
Yeah. Ideally, I don't like people training fasted, but some people feel like they feel better, or like they train really early. And so like that's a thing too. And it's fine. I like to even get, like, I don't know, like a banana or like something like that. But if you are training fasted, it does become more important to get some sort of fuel in pretty close after to that workout.
Yeah. Cool. Good episode. You know what I noticed? Like the last couple of episodes, we've been going like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, like 1 hour.
Yeah. People like the short episodes.
Yeah, no, that I think someone messaged us actually, like, I really like the 30-minute episodes. So let's actually do our best to stick to that again. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening. You can always reach out via Instagram. Go to Kristine's bio to submit your question. DM us. Please, one more time, the best way for you to help us would be through a 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple. It really helps us grow the show. And like I said, we will talk to you very soon. Next week is going to be another guest episode with Cody McBroom. Very excited for that one. And we will also be back with a lot more Q&A, because we have a whole list of questions to answer. So that being said, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. If you want to help us grow the show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or share this episode on your Instagram stories. Now, if at any point you feel like you need more help, you can always reach out to Kristine or myself directly via any of the links in our show notes, because we're here to help. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.